I walked into my parents' house with a $3.2 million retirement check after 30 years of working myself to the bone, and my mother looked at the check, looked at my golden child sister, and said, "Give it to Rachel. She needs it more than you do." If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type "interested" in the comments. And I will give you a heart. I'm standing in my parents' living room in their house in Silver Spring, Maryland, the house I grew up in, the house where I spent 37 years being the responsible one, the reliable one, the daughter who did everything right, and I'm holding a check, an actual physical check, because Patterson Technologies still does retirement packages old school, and the check is for $3.2 million, and my hands are shaking, not from excitement, from pure unadulterated shock at what my mother just said. And let me back up, let me tell you how I got here. How this moment that should have been triumph became absolute devastation, because you need to understand the full picture, need to see exactly how parents can look at child who sacrificed everything and decide that child doesn't deserve what she earned. And my name is Jennifer Matthews, I'm 55 years old, and I just retired after 30 years with Patterson Technologies, 30 years of 12-hour days, of weekend projects, of missed weddings and birthdays and holidays, of building systems and managing teams and climbing ladder in male-dominated tech industry. And it wasn't easy, was never easy, was constant fight to prove I belonged, to demonstrate I was capable, to show that women could lead engineering teams, could make critical decisions, could be trusted with multi-million-dollar projects. And I did it, did all of it, sacrificed relationships, sacrificed having children, sacrificed normal life, because career was everything, was purpose, was proof that I mattered, that I was valuable, that I was worth something. And this morning, this Friday morning in late September, my boss called me into conference room, and he said, "Jennifer, 30 years, you've been backbone of this company. You've built systems that will outlast all of us, and we want to honor that. We want to make sure you're set for life." And he slid envelope across table, and inside was retirement package, $3.2 million, combination of pension buyout, stock options, performance bonuses, everything I'd earned over 3 decades. And I cried, actually cried in front of my boss, because I'd never expected this much, had thought maybe 1 million, maybe 1.5, but 3.2, that was generational wealth, that was security, that was proof that sacrifice had been worth it. And my boss hugged me, and my colleagues threw party, and I drove home to my apartment, my small 1-bedroom apartment that I'd lived in for 15 years because I'd been too busy working to buy house, to build life, to do anything except work. And I sat in my car in parking lot, and I called my parents, called my mother specifically, and I said, "Mom, I just retired, I got my package, it's more than I ever imagined." And she said, "That's wonderful, sweetheart, come over for dinner, we'll celebrate, bring the paperwork, your father will want to see it, he's so proud of you." And I believed her, believed that pride was real, believed that celebration would be genuine, believed that for once, just once, I'd be the daughter they were excited about. And I drove to their house, the house in Silver Spring, the house with the big front porch and the oak tree and yard and the kitchen where Mom used to make Sunday dinners. And I walked in with envelope, with check, with documents showing exactly what I'd earned, and Mom was in kitchen, and Dad was in living room, and my sister Rachel was there, which should have been first warning sign. Should have told me something was wrong, because Rachel doesn't just show up randomly. Rachel, who's 49, who's 6 years younger than me, who's the golden child, the favorite, the one who can do no wrong even though she's done plenty wrong. Rachel, who's been married 3 times, who's filed bankruptcy twice, who's borrowed money from parents more times than I can count, who's never held job for more than 2 years, who's never saved, never planned, never thought about future, because she's always known that Mom and Dad would bail her out, would support her, would make sure she was okay regardless of choices she made. And seeing her there, sitting on couch with glass of wine like she lived there, that should have warned me, should have made me turn around. But I was excited, was proud, was finally going to be daughter who achieved something worth celebrating. And I sat down, and I showed them the paperwork, showed them the check. And Mom looked at it, really looked at it, and her eyes got wide, and she said, "3.2 million, that's, Jennifer, that's incredible." And I smiled, said, "I know, I can finally buy house, can travel, can actually live instead of just work." And Dad said, "You earned this 30 years, that's dedication, that's sacrifice." And I felt it, felt validation, felt recognition, felt like maybe, possibly, I was going to get moment I'd been waiting for my entire life. Moment where they saw me, really saw me, acknowledged what I'd done. And then Rachel said, her voice small, almost childlike, that voice she uses when she wants something, she said, "That's a lot of money, Jen, you're so lucky." And something in her tone, Something in the way she looked at Mom that made my stomach drop, made warning bells start ringing, and Mom said it casually like she was commenting on weather. "Well, Jennifer, you don't need all of that. You don't have children. You don't have mortgage. You've always been so good with money." And I said slowly, "What do you mean I don't need it? I earned it. It's mine." And Mom said, "Of course it's yours, dear. No one's saying it isn't. But Rachel's struggling. She's got the kids. She's got the medical bills from Tom's accident. She's barely making rent. And you've always been fine on your own. You've never needed help. You've always been so independent." And I stared at her, stared at my mother, the woman who raised me, who taught me right from wrong, who told me that hard work pays off, that doing right thing matters. And I said, "You want me to give my retirement money to Rachel?" And Mom said it like it was reasonable, like it was obvious. Just some of it, just enough to get her back on her feet, maybe half, maybe $1.5 million. You'd still have plenty. And the room went silent, went absolutely silent. And I looked at Dad, looked at man who'd always told me to work hard, to save money, to be responsible, and he was looking at floor, wouldn't meet my eyes. And I looked at Rachel, and she was crying, actual tears running down her face. And she said, "Jen, I wouldn't ask if I wasn't desperate, but I'm drowning. And you've always been the strong one, the one who doesn't need anyone. And I need you." And I felt it, felt the manipulation, felt the guilt, felt 37 years of being overlooked, being taken for granted, being expected to sacrifice, because that's what Jennifer does. Jennifer sacrifices. Jennifer takes care of things. Jennifer doesn't need attention or recognition or reward, because Jennifer is fine. Jennifer is always fine, except I wasn't fine at all. Was standing in my parents' living room realizing that even my retirement, even $3.2 million that I earned through 30 years of sacrifice, even this wasn't mine, wasn't really mine, was something they expected me to share, to give away, to hand over to golden child who'd never worked for anything, who'd never saved anything, who'd made every wrong choice and expected everyone else to fix consequences. I need to stop here because I need you to understand something, need you to really hear this. Type golden child if you grew up being the responsible one while your sibling got everything. Type sacrifice if you've ever been told you're strong enough to handle it while someone else got the help. Because what happened in that living room, what my mother said, that wasn't isolated incident, wasn't random request, was culmination of lifetime of favoritism, of being told that my needs didn't matter as much as Rachel's, that my achievements were expected while her failures were excused. And I need to hear from you. Would you have given the money? Would you have handed over half of your retirement to sibling who'd never been responsible? Or would you have done what I did, which was stand up, which was look at my mother, which was say with voice that shook but didn't break, "No, absolutely not. This is mine. I earned this. And you have no right to ask me to give it away." And Mom's face went from sympathetic to cold in span of seconds, and she said, "Jennifer, don't be selfish. Family helps family." And I said, "Family helps family." I repeated, "Where was family when I was working 70-hour weeks? Where was family when I was too exhausted to date, to have life, to do anything except work? Where was help then?" And Rachel said through tears, "You always do this. You always make everything about you. I'm asking for help and you're talking about your sacrifices like they matter more than my children." And I felt rage, pure rage, because my sacrifices did matter, did count, were real, were 30 years of my life that I'd given to career, because I genuinely thought that success would finally make me enough, would finally make me the daughter they were proud of, would finally earn me the love and recognition they'd always given Rachel freely. And Dad finally spoke, said, "Jennifer, maybe you should think about it, sleep on it. It's a lot of money, you could spare some." And that's when I understood, when I really saw clearly that they'd planned this, had discussed this, had decided before I even walked in that my retirement wasn't my retirement, was family resource, was solution to Rachel's problems, was way to bail out Golden Child one more time. And the planning, the coordination, the fact that Rachel was already there, already crying, already performing, that told me everything, told me this wasn't spontaneous request, was ambush, was intervention designed to make me feel guilty, to make me comply, to make me be good daughter who sacrifices for family. And I said, "I'm leaving. I'm taking my check and I'm leaving." And Mom said, "If you walk out that door, if you choose money over family, don't expect us to forget it." And I stopped, turned around, and I said, "You're asking me to choose. You're the ones making this about money versus family. I came here to celebrate, and you ambushed me. You planned this, you decided before I arrived that what I earned wasn't really mine. And that's not love. That's not family, that's manipulation." And I walked out of house I grew up in, got in my car, and drove away. And my phone started ringing immediately, mom calling, then Rachel, then dad, and I didn't answer, couldn't answer, was shaking so badly. I had to pull over, had to sit in grocery store parking lot just breathing, just trying to process what had happened, and the calls kept coming and the texts started. Rachel saying, I can't believe you're doing this. Mom saying, we need to talk about your attitude. Dad saying, let's all calm down and discuss this reasonably. And reasonable, that word reasonable, like it was reasonable to ask me to give away half my retirement, like it was reasonable to expect me to fund sister's life, like it was reasonable to treat my success as family piggy bank. And I turned off my phone, drove home, and sat in my apartment, my small apartment that suddenly felt different, felt like evidence of everything I'd sacrificed, everything I'd given up. And I looked at the check, $3.2 million, and I thought about mom's face when she said, give it to Rachel. She needs it more than you do. And I understood with horrible clarity that I'd never been enough, would never be enough, because being enough wasn't about achievement, wasn't about success, wasn't about earning or saving or sacrificing. Being enough was about being Rachel, about being person who needed saving, who required help, who made parents feel necessary. And I wasn't that person, had never been that person, had been opposite, had been person who didn't need anything, who handled everything, who sacrificed without complaint. And that sacrificing, that independence, that strength, it hadn't made me valuable, had made me invisible, had made my needs dismissible, had made my achievements something to be redistributed rather than celebrated. And sitting in my apartment, holding check that represented 30 years of my life, I made decision. Made choice that would change everything, would destroy relationship with parents, would end whatever connection I had left with Rachel, but would save me, would protect what I'd earned, would demonstrate that I mattered, that my work mattered, that I wasn't just supporting character in Rachel's story, wasn't just backup plan, wasn't just the strong one who could handle anything. I was person, was woman who'd sacrificed everything, and I deserved, absolutely deserved, to keep what I'd earned. And the next morning I called lawyer, not any lawyer, best estate and family lawyer in Maryland, woman named Catherine Blake, who specialized in protecting assets, in dealing with family disputes, in making sure that what belonged to you stayed yours. And I told her everything, told her about ambush, about demand, about lifetime of being expected to sacrifice. And Catherine listened, really listened. And when I finished, she said, Jennifer, I'm going to ask you something important. Do you want relationship with your parents more than you want your retirement secure? And I said, I want my retirement secure. I want what I earn protected. I want to make sure that no one, not my parents, not my sister, not anyone can take what's mine. And Catherine said, then we're going to set up trust. We're going to protect these assets. We're going to make sure that even if they try legal action, even if they claim you owe them something, even if Rachel files some kind of dependency claim, your retirement is untouchable. And we did. We set up Jennifer Matthews Retirement Trust. We moved the $3.2 million into protected accounts. We created legal structure that made it impossible for anyone except me to access funds. And then Catherine said, now we wait. We wait for them to make next move, because they will make next move. People who feel entitled to your money always do. And she was right. She was absolutely right, because 3 days later I got certified letter, legal document, and opening it, reading it, understanding what my parents had done, what they were willing to do to force my compliance. That's when real fight began. That's when I understood exactly what I was dealing with, and that understanding, that clarity, it changed everything. The certified letter arrives on Wednesday morning, delivered by postal worker who makes me sign for it. And I'm standing in my apartment doorway in my bathrobe because I've barely left apartment since the confrontation at my parents' house. And I take the envelope, thick manila envelope with law office return address, Hendricks and Associates, and my hands are already shaking before I even open it, because I know, somehow I know, that this is it. This is the escalation. This is my parents choosing legal warfare over admitting they were wrong. And I sit at my kitchen table, the small IKEA table I bought 15 years ago when I moved in here, when I was too busy building career to care about furniture, about aesthetics, about having home instead of just place to sleep between work shifts. And I open envelope carefully, pull out papers, and the first page is legal complaint, formal legal complaint. And I'm reading words that don't make sense, that can't possibly be real. And it says Jennifer Matthews, defendant, and it lists my parents, Harold and Patricia Matthews, as plaintiffs, and my sister Rachel Thompson as co-plaintiff. And the claim, the actual legal claim they're making, is that I owe them compensation for 30 years of financial support for room and board during college, for car they bought me when I was 23, for loans they gave me for security deposit on first apartment. And they're claiming that these weren't gifts, were investments, were financial contributions that I agreed to repay, and they're saying I owe them $1.2 million, plus interest, plus emotional damages for my refusal to help Rachel in her time of need. And I'm reading these words, reading my parents' names on legal document claiming I owe them money for raising me, for helping me when I was young, for being parents, and something inside me breaks. Not sad breaking, angry breaking, furious breaking, the kind of breaking that happens when you realize that people you loved, people you trusted, people who are supposed to protect you, they're willing to destroy you, willing to lie in legal documents, willing to fabricate debts that never existed, just to get access to money you earned. And I call Catherine immediately, my hand shaking so badly I can barely dial, and she answers on second ring. And I say they're suing me, my parents are suing me, they're claiming I owe them money. And Catherine says bring me the papers, come to my office right now, and I drive there still in bathrobe, throw coat over it, drive to Catherine's office in Bethesda, and I hand her the papers and she reads them, her expression getting darker with each page, and when she finishes she looks at me and says this is fraud. This is documentary fraud. They're claiming loans that they can't prove. They're citing agreements that don't exist. This is actually criminal, not just civil. And I say, can they do this? Can they actually sue me for raising me? And Catherine says they can file whatever they want. Doesn't mean they'll win. Doesn't mean judge will take them seriously. But Jennifer, you need to understand something. This isn't about winning. This is about pressure. This is about making your life difficult enough that you'll settle, that you'll pay them something just to make it stop. And I say I'm not paying them anything, not $1, not for this. And Catherine smiles, not happy smile, warrior smile. And she says, good. Then we fight, and we're going to win, because what they've done here, claiming you owe them for parental support, that's going to make them look terrible. That's going to expose them. And when we're done, when we present our evidence and our case, they're going to regret ever filing this. And I ask, what evidence? What case? And Catherine says we're going to document everything, every gift you've given them, every time you've helped them financially, every way you've contributed to family. And we're going to show judge exactly who's been supporting whom. And we started gathering evidence, and what I found, what I discovered going through 30 years of bank records, 30 years of credit card statements, 30 years of receipts and emails and text messages, it was stunning, was overwhelming, was proof that I hadn't been the one receiving support, I'd been the one giving it, and the evidence was everywhere, was in every statement, every transaction, every choice I'd made to help family while sacrificing my own comfort. And let me tell you what I found. Let me show you exactly what 30 years of being a responsible daughter actually looked like. I found that when I was 25, when mom's car died, when she called crying saying she couldn't afford a new one, I'd given her $8,000, my entire savings at the time, and she'd said it was loans, said she'd pay me back, except she never did, never mentioned it again. And when I'd asked about it 2 years later, she'd said, Jennifer, don't be petty. That was gift. You know that was gift. And I'd let it go, had absorbed the loss, had started saving again. And when I was 28, when Dad's business was struggling, when he needed capital to keep doors open, I'd co-sign loan for $40,000. And when business failed 6 months later, when bank came after co-signer, I'd paid that loan, had paid every penny of $40,000 plus interest over 5 years. And Dad had said, I'm sorry, honey, I'll make it up to you. Except he never did, never tried, never acknowledged that I'd saved him from bankruptcy. And when I was 32, when Rachel's first marriage imploded, when she needed security deposit for apartment because her husband had drained their accounts, I'd given her $6,000, and Rachel had said, I'll pay you back, I promise, as soon as I get settled. Except settled never came. Payment never came. And a year later, when I'd mentioned it, she'd said, I can't believe you're keeping track. I was in crisis, you're really going to hold that over me? And I'd felt guilty, had felt like I was being petty, had let it go. And the pattern continued for 30 years, every crisis, every emergency, every time someone needed money, it was Jennifer who gave it, Jennifer who helped, Jennifer who solved the problem. And I'd given them money for home repairs, for medical bills, for Rachel's second wedding, for my nephew's braces, for Dad's new truck, for Mom's kitchen renovation, and adding it up, calculating every gift, every loan that was never repaid, every contribution I'd made to family finances, the total was staggering, was over $300,000 over 30 years, $300,000 that I'd given freely, willingly, because they were family, because that's what you do. And not once, not one single time had they acknowledged it, had they thanked me beyond initial moment, had they recognized that I was sacrificing my own security, my own future, my own ability to buy a house or save for retirement, to help them, And now they were suing me, claiming I owed them, claiming they'd supported me, claiming I was ungrateful, and the hypocrisy, the absolute audacity of it, it was breathtaking. Catherine compiled everything into massive document, every transaction documented, every gift recorded, every loan detailed, and she said, "This is your defense. This is your proof. And more than that, this is your counterclaim, because Jennifer, you could sue them, you could claim they owe you $300,000 plus interest." And I thought about it, considered it, imagined filing countersuit, imagine their faces when they realized I had documentation, had proof, had evidence of every dollar I'd given them. But I said, no, I don't want their money, I just want them to leave me alone. I want this lawsuit dismissed. I want them to understand that they can't manipulate me, can't guilt me, can't force me to give them what they want. And Catherine said, then we'll file motion to dismiss. We'll show judge their claim is frivolous, and we'll request they pay your legal fees for bringing fraudulent case. And we did. We filed response, we submitted evidence, we presented case to judge, and the hearing was scheduled for 6 weeks later. 6 weeks during which my parents continued calling, continued texting. Mom saying, we can settle this. Just give Rachel what she needs and we'll drop the suit. And Rachel saying, I can't believe you're letting this go to court. I can't believe you care more about money than your nieces and nephews. And Dad saying, Jennifer, be reasonable, we're family, we can work this out. And every message was manipulation, was guilt trip, was attempt to make me feel like I was wrong, like I was selfish, like I was destroying family, except I wasn't destroying anything. I was protecting myself, was refusing to be ATM machine, was standing up for first time in my life and saying, no, my needs matter. My work matters, what I earned is mine, and that standing, that boundary, it was terrifying, was empowering, was absolutely necessary. And during those 6 weeks I did something else, something Catherine suggested. I hired private investigator, man named Robert Chun, who specialized in financial investigations, and I asked him to look into Rachel's finances, to verify whether she was actually struggling like she claimed, whether she actually needed help, or whether this was another manipulation, another performance designed to extract money. And what Robert found, what he discovered and documented, it changed everything. It proved that Rachel's crisis, her desperation, her tears, they were all lies, all carefully constructed fiction, because Rachel wasn't struggling, wasn't drowning, wasn't barely making rent. Rachel had income one never knew about, had assets I'd never suspected, had been playing poor while actually being comfortable. And Robert showed me bank statements, showed me property records, showed me LLC filings, and Rachel, my baby sister, who was supposedly desperate, who was supposedly at risk of homelessness, who was supposedly unable to feed her children. Rachel owned 3 rental properties, had LLC that managed those properties, was bringing in $8,000 a month in rental income. And she had savings account with $87,000, and she had investment account with another $60,000, and her husband Tom, the one who'd supposedly had accident, who supposedly had medical bills. Tom was working, was employed, was making $75,000 a year as sales manager, and the medical bills, the ones Rachel claimed were drowning them, they were covered by insurance, were minimal out of pocket, were maybe $5,000 total. Nothing compared to what she was claiming, nothing compared to emergencies she'd manufactured. And understanding this, seeing this evidence, realizing that Rachel had lied, had performed, had cried and manipulated and played victim when she was actually fine, actually secure, actually comfortable, that radicalized me, that transformed my hurt into rage, my sadness into determination, because this wasn't about helping family member in crisis. This was about taking what I'd earned, about punishing me for success, about making me pay for being different, for choosing career over children, for prioritizing work over family drama. And they decided, all 3 of them, Mom and Dad and Rachel, they decided that my retirement wasn't mine, was family resource, was solution to problems that didn't actually exist. And that deciding, that entitlement, that absolute certainty that they deserved my money more than I did, it was unforgivable, was irredeemable, was exactly what I needed to see to understand that whatever relationship we'd had, whatever family we'd been, it was over, was done, was something I needed to walk away from completely. And walking away, that choice, it was hardest thing I'd ever done, harder than 30 years at Patterson Technologies, harder than any project or deadline or career challenge, because walking away from family, from people who raised you, from relationships that defined your entire life, that's not clean, not simple, not easy. It's messy and painful and complicated, but necessary, absolutely necessary, because continuing to engage, continuing to allow them to manipulate and guilt and demand, that would destroy me. would make retirement meaningless, would turn $3.2 million into albatross, into source of constant pressure and expectation and resentment, and I deserved better, deserved to enjoy what I'd earned, deserved to build life I'd always postponed. And building that life, that required cutting them off, required ending relationship, required choosing myself for first time in 37 years. And that choosing, that was revolution, was transformation, was me finally understanding that I mattered, that my needs were valid, that I didn't owe anyone my success, my sacrifice, my entire retirement just because they wanted it. And the court date approached, and Catherine prepared our case, and I prepared myself for what was coming, for public confrontation, for sitting in courtroom across from parents, for having judge evaluate our relationship, our history, our competing claims, and preparation, that emotional preparation. That was hardest part, because part of me still hoped, still wanted them to apologize, to withdraw suit, to admit they were wrong, to say, Jennifer, we're sorry, we made mistake, we love you, you deserve your retirement. But that hope, that wish, it was fantasy, was childish desire for parents who didn't exist, who'd never existed, who'd always seen me as resource rather than person, and accepting that, grieving that, letting go of fantasy family in favor of real family, the one that sued me. That was process, was work, was something I did with therapist I started seeing, and therapist said, Jennifer, you're mourning the parents you needed versus the parents you have, and that mourning is valid, is necessary, is part of healing. And I mourned, I really mourned, cried in therapy sessions, cried in my apartment, cried in my car, cried for little girl who'd worked so hard to be good enough, to be valued, to earn love that should have been unconditional. And that little girl, she'd never been enough, would never be enough, because enough wasn't achievable, wasn't real, was moving target designed to keep me striving, keep me giving, keep me sacrificing. And understanding that, really understanding it, that freed me, that released me, that let me walk into courthouse on hearing day with clear eyes, with steady hands, with absolute certainty that I was right, that I deserved to win, that justice, real justice, was on my side. The courthouse in Rockville, Maryland is gray stone building that smells like old paper and floor polish, and the particular kind of tension that comes from people fighting over things that matter. And I'm sitting on wooden bench in hallway outside courtroom 3 wearing navy suit I bought specifically for this. Professional suit, expensive suit, the kind of suit that says I'm serious, I'm successful, I'm not person you can dismiss. And Catherine is beside me reviewing notes one final time, and across the hallway, maybe 20 feet away, are my parents and Rachel, and they're sitting together, unified front, mom in her Sunday dress, dad in suit I've never seen before, probably bought for this occasion, and Rachel in black dress that makes her look vulnerable, makes her look like victim, and she's brought her kids, my nieces, 8-year-old Emma and 6-year-old Sophie, and they're sitting there looking confused, looking uncomfortable, and I understand immediately what this is. This is performance. This is staging. This is Rachel using her children as props to make me look heartless, to make judge see her as struggling mother and me as cruel aunt who refuses to help, and the manipulation, the calculated cruelty of bringing children to lawsuit. That's new low. That's strategy that tells me exactly how far they're willing to go. And Emma sees me, waves, says Aunt Jenny, and Rachel pulls her hand down, whispers something, and Emma's face changes, goes from happy to confused. And I feel it, feel rage mixed with grief, because Rachel is poisoning my nieces against me, is teaching them that Aunt Jenny is bad, is selfish, is person who hurt their mother. And those girls, I love those girls, have given them birthday presents and Christmas gifts and taken them to zoo and bought their school supplies, and now they're being used as weapons, as evidence of my cruelty. And it's working, I can see it working, can see how other people in hallway are looking at me, at successful woman in expensive suit versus struggling mother with children, and optics, the visual narrative, it's all in Rachel's favor. Except optics don't matter in courtroom. Evidence matters, truth matters, documentation matters, and I have all 3. And the bailiff opens door, calls our case, Matthews versus Matthews, and we all stand, we all file in, and courtroom is smaller than I expected, more intimate. Just judge's bench and 2 tables and gallery with maybe 20 seats, and we take our places. Catherine and I at plaintiff's table, even though we're defendants because they filed first, and my parents' lawyer, man named Gerald Hendricks, who's probably in his 60s with gray hair and expensive watch. He's at other table with mom and dad and Rachel has positioned herself so judge can see children in gallery behind her, can see that she's mother, that she has responsibilities, that she has people depending on her? And Judge enters. Judge Margaret Walsh, woman in her 50s. With sharp eyes and expression that says she's seen every kind of family drama, every kind of financial dispute, every manipulation tactic, and she's not impressed by any of it. And Judge Walsh sits, looks at papers in front of her, looks at both tables, and says, I've reviewed the complaint and the response. I've seen the evidence submitted by both parties, and I have to say, this is one of the most unusual cases I've encountered. So let's start with plaintiffs. Mr. Hendricks, explain to me why. Your clients believe they're owed $1.2 million by their daughter, and Hendricks stands, clears throat, and he begins, and his argument is smooth, is practiced, is exactly what Catherine predicted. He says, Your Honor, my clients spent 37 years raising, supporting, and investing in their daughter Jennifer. They provided her with education, with housing, with vehicles, with financial assistance when she was starting her career. They made sacrifices. They went without. They prioritized her success, and now that she's received substantial retirement package, now that she has means, she's refusing to acknowledge their contribution, refusing to help her sister who's struggling, refusing to recognize that family has obligations. That success comes with responsibility to those who made that success possible. And he's good, he's very good. He's making it sound reasonable, sound fair, sound like I'm ungrateful child who forgot where she came from. And Judge Walsh listens, takes notes, and she says, Mr. Hendricks, your complaint lists specific loans, specific amounts. Do you have documentation of these loans, signed agreements, promissory notes, anything showing that these were loans rather than gifts? And Hendricks hesitates, just for a second, and he says, Your Honor, these were family transactions, informal agreements, the kind of arrangements that don't require formal documentation because they're based on trust, on understanding, on expectation. That children will care for parents who cared for them, and Judge Walsh's expression doesn't change, but I see it, see the skepticism, see her recognizing what this is, and she says, So you're saying there's no documentation, no written agreements, no evidence that these were anything other than parental gifts? And Hendricks says the evidence is in the relationship itself, in the pattern of support, in the understanding that family takes care of family. And Judge Walsh says, I see, Ms. Blake, your response, and Catherine stands, and she's calm, she's prepared, she's about to destroy them, and she says, Your Honor, my client did receive support from her parents when she was young. That's true. That's what parents do. They support their children, they help them get started, and those actions, those gifts, they don't create debt, they don't establish obligation, they're part of being parent, and more importantly, and she opens folder, more importantly, my client has documentation showing that over the past 30 years, she has given her parents and her sister over $300,000 in gifts and loans, most of which were never repaid. And we have bank records, we have canceled checks, we have emails and text messages acknowledging these transfers. And far from being supported by her family, Jennifer has been supporting her family consistently, repeatedly, sacrificing her own financial security to help them. And Catherine starts distributing documents, gives copies to Judge, to Hendricks, and I watch my parents' faces. Watch them realize what's happening. Watch them understand that I documented everything, that I have proof, and Mom's face goes pale, and Dad's jaw clenches, and Rachel is whispering urgently to Hendricks, and Catherine continues, Furthermore, Your Honor, my client hired investigator to verify the claims of financial hardship made by her sister, and what we discovered. And she presents more documents. What we discovered is that Rachel Thompson is not struggling, is not drowning, is not in crisis. She owns 3 rental properties with combined value of approximately $800,000. She has over $140,000 in savings and investments. Her husband is employed and making $75,000 annually. The medical bills she claims are drowning her total less than $5,000. This entire lawsuit is based on false pretenses, on manufactured crisis, on attempt to guilt my client into giving money that isn't owed, that isn't deserved, that's simply wanted. And courtroom goes silent, absolutely silent, and I look at Rachel, and she's crying, but different crying now, not sympathetic tears, angry tears, caught tears, and Judge Walsh is reading documents, is going through evidence page by page, and her expression is getting darker, getting more severe, and she looks up, looks at my parents' table, and she says, Is this true? Does your daughter own rental properties? Does she have these assets? And Hendricks looks at Rachel, and Rachel won't meet his eyes, and he says, Your Honor, my clients weren't aware of the full extent. And Judge Walsh interrupts, says your clients filed lawsuit claiming financial hardship without verifying the actual financial situation. And Hendricks says we relied on information provided by our clients. And Judge Walsh says that's not how this works. Mr. Hendricks, you have obligation to verify claims before filing. And this, she holds up evidence. This is fraud. This is filing false claims in court. And she looks at my parents, really looks at them and says, Mr. and Mrs. Matthews, did you know about your daughter Rachel's properties, her savings? And Mom says quietly, we knew she had rental property. We didn't know about all of it. And Judge Walsh says, but you filed lawsuit anyway, claimed she was struggling, claimed she needed help, and you demanded your other daughter give her over $1 million. And Dad says, we just wanted Jennifer to help her sister, to be there for family. And Judge Walsh says, by lying in court documents, by claiming debts that don't exist, by manufacturing crisis, and the contempt in her voice, the absolute disgust. It's clear, it's unmistakable, and I feel vindication, feel validation, feel like finally someone with authority is seeing truth, is calling out manipulation, is refusing to accept their narrative. I need to pause here because this is critical, and I need you to understand something that's going to matter for everything that comes next. Type parents if you've ever had family claim you owe them for raising you. Type manipulation if you've ever been guilted into giving money you couldn't afford, because what happened in that courtroom, what Judge Walsh did, that's rare, that's unusual. Because most of time family manipulation works. Most of time guilt is effective, most of time. Responsible child ends up paying, ends up sacrificing, ends up giving in because fighting is too hard, too painful, too costly emotionally, and I almost gave in, almost settled, almost handed over money just to make it stop. But Catherine said don't give them anything, because giving in teaches them that manipulation works, that legal threats work, that they can bully you into compliance. And she was right, was absolutely right. And from our stats, we've got way more viewers than subscribers. If you're following this story, if you need to see how this ends, if you're dealing with family that demands your success become their security, kindly join our community and subscribe, because what Judge Walsh said next, what she ruled, what she ordered, that changed everything. And you need to see it, need to understand that justice, real justice, is possible, that standing up to family, that protecting what's yours, that fighting back, it can work, it does work, it matters. And watching it work, watching Judge destroy my parents' case, watching their lawyer scramble, watching Rachel's performance crumble, that was satisfaction beyond anything I'd imagined. And that satisfaction, that vindication, that public validation that I was right, that they were wrong, that was worth every moment of pain, every tear, every sleepless night. And what came next, what Judge Walsh ordered, what consequences my parents faced, that was justice, was karma, was exactly what they deserved. Judge Walsh continues, says, I'm dismissing this case with prejudice, which means it cannot be refiled, and I'm ordering plaintiffs to pay defendants' legal fees, which, she looks at Catherine, Ms. Blake, what are your fees to date? And Catherine says $35,000, Your Honor. And Judge Walsh says plaintiffs will pay $35,000 to defendant within 30 days, and furthermore, she looks at Hendricks, Mr. Hendricks, I'm reporting you to the Bar Association for filing complaint without adequate verification. You should have known these claims were false. You should have investigated before filing. And Hendricks goes pale, says, Your Honor, I was operating on information provided by clients. And Judge Walsh says that's not defense, that's explanation, and it's inadequate. And she looks at my parents again, says, Mr. and Mrs. Matthews, Rachel Thompson, I want to be very clear. You filed fraudulent lawsuit. You lied in court documents. You manufactured crisis to extract money, and the only reason I'm not holding you in contempt is that your lawyer should have caught this, should have stopped this. But understand this, if you contact Jennifer Matthews, if you harass her, if you make any further demands, I will hold you in contempt, I will impose sanctions, and I will refer this matter to prosecutors. Do you understand? And my parents nod, and Rachel is crying harder. And Mom says, Can I speak? And Judge Walsh says, No, you cannot, you've said enough, you've done enough, and this case is dismissed. And she bangs gavel, and it's over, just over. And I'm sitting there feeling numb, feeling shocked, feeling like I should feel triumphant, but instead feeling sad, feeling grief, because I won. I absolutely won. But what I won was confirmation that my parents valued money over me, valued Rachel over me, valued maintaining her lifestyle over having relationship with me. And that winning, that victory, it's hollow somehow, is bittersweet, is proof that I was right, but also proof that family I thought I had never existed. And standing up, gathering papers, walking out of courtroom past parents who won't look at me, past Rachel who's being comforted by mom, past nieces who look confused and scared. That walk, that exit, that's hardest thing I've ever done, is moment when I understand that this is it, this is end. There's no reconciliation coming, no apology forthcoming, no recognition that they were wrong. They're just going to paint me as villain, as cruel daughter who took them to court, who embarrassed them publicly, who chose money over family, and that painting, that narrative, I can't control it, can't fight it, can only live my life, can only move forward, can only build future that doesn't include them, and building that future, that's next chapter. That's what comes after victory, after justice, after the moment when you realize that winning in court doesn't mean winning in life, means something different, means having to reconstruct entire existence without foundation you thought you had. And that reconstruction, that building from scratch, that's where real work begins. That's where transformation happens. That's where I discover who I am when I'm not defined by being daughter, by being sister, by being responsible one, and discovering that, becoming that story that comes next, that's journey that's just beginning. That's proof that sometimes the hardest victory is the one that costs you everything except yourself. Catherine and I walk out of courthouse into October sunshine that feels too bright, too cheerful for what just happened. And we're standing on courthouse steps and she's saying, "You won, Jennifer. You won completely." And I'm nodding, but I'm also watching my parents' car pull out of parking lot, watching Rachel in back seat still crying, watching them drive away without looking back, and Catherine sees my face, sees what I'm feeling, and she says, "You're grieving, and that's normal, that's expected. You just lost your family even though you won the case." And I say, did I lose them or did I never have them? And Catherine doesn't answer because there is no answer. No words that make this better. No consolation. That fills whole. And she says, "Take time, process this, and call me if they violate the order, if they contact you, if they try anything, and I promise I will." And I drive home to my apartment, my small apartment that suddenly feels emptier, feels lonelier, feels like evidence of everything I sacrificed. Everything I gave up to be successful daughter, who earned $3.2 million that her parents thought they deserved. And I sit on my couch, my old couch, and I think about what comes next, about what I do with this money, with this freedom, with this life that's suddenly, unexpectedly mine to build however I want. And for first time in 30 years, maybe first time ever, I don't know what I want. Don't know who I am without work, without family obligations, without being Jennifer who handles everything, who solves problems, who sacrifices, and that not knowing, that uncertainty, it's terrifying but also liberating, is blank page that I can fill however I choose, and choosing that autonomy, that power, that's new, that's strange, that's going to take getting used to. And over next 2 weeks, I do nothing, literally nothing. I stay in apartment, I order takeout, I watch television. I sleep irregular hours, I ignore phone calls from former colleagues who want to have lunch, from friends who want to celebrate my retirement. I just exist, just process, just let myself feel everything I've been pushing down for months, for years, for entire lifetime. And the feeling, the pure, unfiltered emotional experience of grief and rage and relief and confusion all mixed together. It's overwhelming, is exhausting, is necessary. And my therapist, Dr. Sarah Kim, she says during our video session, "You're decompressing, you're allowing yourself to feel after 30 years of suppressing. And this is healthy, this is progress, this is you finally putting yourself first." And I say, "It doesn't feel healthy, feels like I'm falling apart." And she says, "Sometimes falling apart is how we put ourselves back together correctly." And that together correctly, that phrase sticks with me, makes me think about how I've been assembled wrong my whole life, built around other people's needs, other people's expectations, other people's definitions of who I should be. And now I have chance to rebuild, to reassemble, to become person I actually want to be rather than person everyone else needed me to be. And that becoming, that transformation, it starts with small decision, with looking around my apartment, my small dark apartment with furniture I don't like and walls I never decorated and kitchen I barely use, and deciding that this isn't where I want to be, this isn't life I want, this isn't home. And if I have $3.2 million, if I have freedom, if I have no obligations, then I can be anywhere, can do anything, can create life that reflects who I actually am rather than who I've been pretending to be. And that realization, That understanding that nothing is stopping me except my own fear, my own inertia, my own attachment to familiar even when familiar is uncomfortable. That's catalyst, that's motivation, that's beginning of actual transformation. And I call realtor, woman named Michelle Park who specializes in luxury properties, and I say I want to buy house, real house, not apartment, not temporary space, but home. Something with light and space and room to breathe. And Michelle says, "What's your budget?" And I say 300,000, maybe 350, and she says that's good budget. I can show you some great options. What areas are you interested in? And I say anywhere but Silver Spring, anywhere but near my parents, and she understands, doesn't ask questions, just says I have some properties in Arlington, in Bethesda, in Rockville. Let me send you listings. And she does. She sends me 20 listings and I look at them, really look at them, and one catches my eye, 3-bedroom townhouse in Arlington with floor-to-ceiling windows and modern kitchen and small backyard, and it's beautiful, is exactly opposite of apartment I've been living in, is light and open and new, and I say I want to see it, and Michelle's schedule's showing for next day. And walking into that townhouse, seeing sunlight stream through windows, seeing space, seeing possibility, I feel something shift, feel excitement, feel desire, feel want, and wanting, allowing myself to want something, to prioritize my comfort, my happiness, my aesthetic preferences. That's revolutionary, that's radical, that's completely outside my experience, and I say I'll take it. And Michelle says, don't you want to see other properties? Want to compare? Want to negotiate? And I say no, this is it, this is perfect, make an offer. And we do, we make full price offer with cash payment, and seller accepts immediately because cash is king. And 30 days later I own it, own this beautiful townhouse, own space that's mine, that I chose, that reflects who I want to be, and I hire movers and I pack up apartment, and I'm amazed at how little I actually have, how 30 years of living produced so little, just clothes and books and basic furniture, no decorations, no collections, no evidence of hobbies or interests or life outside work. And that little, that absence, it's sad but also freeing, means I can start fresh, can buy furniture I actually like, can decorate however I want, can create home rather than just place to sleep. And moving day is cold November morning, and movers carry my few boxes into townhouse, and I stand in living room with floor-to-ceiling windows showing trees that are bare but will be beautiful in spring, and I think this is mine, this space is mine, this life is mine, and that mine, that ownership, that claiming it's powerful is transformative, is beginning of understanding that I deserve good things, that success isn't something to feel guilty about, that having money doesn't obligate me to give it away, that I can enjoy what I earned, and enjoying it, that's new skill, is something I have to learn, and I spend next month learning it. I buy furniture, real furniture, comfortable couch and dining table and bed with good mattress, and I buy art for walls, actual art from local gallery, paintings that make me feel something, and I buy plants, lots of plants, because I've always wanted plants, but apartment was too dark, and I cook, actually cook, real meals in kitchen. That's joy to use, and I sit on my couch an evening with glass of wine watching sunset through windows, and I think, is this what life is supposed to feel like? Is this what people mean when they talk about being content and contentment? That elusive feeling, it's here, is present, is something I'm experiencing for first time, and experiencing it makes me realize what I've been missing, what I've been denying myself, what I sacrificed thinking it would make me worthy, make me valuable, make me enough, except I was always enough. Always valuable, always worthy, just not to them, not to parents who measured my worth in usefulness, in compliance, in willingness to sacrifice. But to myself, to universe, to life itself, I was enough. And understanding that, believing that, that's healing, that's growth, that's transformation. I'm settling into new life, into new home, into new version of myself that's emerging, and then one evening in mid-December I get email, not from my parents, not from Rachel, but from Emma, my 8-year-old niece, and the email is short, is clearly written by child. It says, "Dear Aunt Jenny, I miss you. Why don't you come to Christmas? Mommy says you're mad at us, but I don't understand why. I love you. Please come. Love, Emma." And reading it breaks something in me, breaks wall I've been building, breaks resolve I've been maintaining, because Emma is innocent, Emma didn't do anything, Emma is child caught in adult war. And I sit there holding phone, reading email over and over, and I think about responding, about explaining, about trying to maintain relationship with nieces despite everything. But how do I explain to 8-year-old that her mother lied, that her grandparents sued me, that family I loved chose money over me? How do I do that without poisoning her relationships, without making her carry adult burden? And the answer is I can't. I can't explain without damaging her, can't maintain relationship without submitting to Rachel's control, can't be aunt without accepting being ATM. And that accepting, that's not option, that's not possibility. That's exactly what I fought against. And so I don't respond, I save email, I cry, and I let it go, I let Emma go, I let nieces go. I accept that some casualties can't be avoided, that protecting myself means losing them. And that losing, that sacrifice, its cost of freedom, is price of peace, is what I have to pay to keep what's mine. And paying it, accepting it, living with it, that's hardest part of this entire experience. Harder than lawsuit, harder than confrontation, harder than anything except knowing that alternative is worse, is going back, is submitting, is becoming person I used to be, and that person, that Jennifer who sacrificed everything, who gave endlessly, who measured worth in usefulness. She's gone, she's dead, she had to die so that I could live. And living, really living, that requires letting go, requires accepting losses, requires understanding that some relationships are toxic even when they're family, especially when they're family and family, real family, chosen family, supportive family. That's what I need to build. That's what I need to find. That's what I deserve. And deserving it, that's not arrogant, not selfish, not wrong, is accurate assessment of reality, is recognition that I'm valuable, that my needs matter, that I have right to be happy, and happiness, that elusive goal, it's here, is present, is growing, is something I'm cultivating in townhouse with windows and plants and furniture I chose, and cultivating it, protecting it, defending it against people who destroy it. That's not cruelty, that's wisdom, that's survival. That's exactly what I should be doing, and doing it, living it, being it. That's victory, real victory, not courtroom victory, not legal victory, but life victory. And life victory looks like waking up in house I love, making coffee in kitchen I chose, sitting in living room with sunlight streaming through windows, and feeling peace, feeling contentment, feeling like I made right choice, like I chose correctly, like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and being here, being this person, being Jennifer who chose herself. That's worth everything I lost, everything I sacrificed, everything I gave up, because what I gained, what I found, what I became, that's priceless, that's irreplaceable, that's mine and mine, that word, that claiming, that ownership, it's everything, is foundation of life I'm building, is core of person I'm becoming, is proof that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away, is protect yourself, is choose your own happiness over other people's expectations, and choosing that, living that, being that, that's not selfish, that's survival, and surviving, thriving, flourishing, that's exactly what I'm doing. And 2 weeks after Emma's email, 2 weeks of processing and grieving and accepting, I make decision. I make choice that's going to define next chapter. I'm going to use some of retirement money, not all of it, not most of it, but significant portion, to start foundation, to create organization that helps women, specifically women who've been financially abused by family, who've been pressured to give money they can't afford, who've been guilt into sacrificing their security for others. And I'm going to call it Enough Foundation, because message is simple, is clear, is exactly what I needed to hear. You're enough, your needs matter. You deserve to keep what's yours, and Foundation is going to provide legal assistance, financial counseling, emotional support, everything I needed when I was fighting, everything I wish I'd had, and creating it, building it, using my experience to help others. That transforms pain into purpose, that makes suffering meaningful, that proves that what I went through, what I survived, what I learned, it matters, it has value. It can help others, and helping others, that's legacy, that's impact. That's how I honor struggle, by making sure others don't have to face it alone, don't have to fight without resources, don't have to choose between family and security without support, and supporting them, providing that foundation, that literal foundation. That's what I'm meant to do, that's purpose I've been searching for. That's meaning that makes retirement about more than money, about more than comfort, about more than myself, is about community, about solidarity, about women helping women, about understanding that family obligation stops where financial abuse begins, and that beginning, that line, that boundary. Enough Foundation is going to help women find it, defend it, maintain it, and maintaining it. That's revolution, that's transformation. That's exactly what world needs, what women need, what I needed, and building it, creating it, launching it, that's next chapter. That's where this story goes. That's proof that endings are also beginnings, that loss creates space for gain, that walking away from toxic family creates room for chosen family, for purpose, for meaning, for life that's actually worth living, and that life, That beautiful, hard-won, authentic life. That's what comes next. I'm sitting in lawyer's office. Different lawyer this time. Not Catherine, who handled the lawsuit, but Sandra Mitchell, who specializes in nonprofit formation. And I'm explaining my vision. I'm describing enough foundation, and Sandra is taking notes, asking questions, and she says, Jennifer, this is ambitious. This is needed, but starting foundation, real foundation, that requires significant capital, requires infrastructure, requires commitment. And I say I'm committing $500,000 initially. I'm committing my time, my experience, my story, and Sandra looks at me with new respect, and she says, 500,000, that's serious commitment. That will establish credibility, will attract other donors, will make this real. And we spend next 3 hours mapping it out, discussing structure, discussing mission statement, discussing exactly what services we'll provide. And I explain that I want to offer free legal consultation for women being pressured by family, want to provide financial counseling for women who've been giving money they can't afford, want to create support groups where women can share stories, can recognize patterns, can understand they're not alone, they're not crazy. They're not selfish for wanting to keep what's theirs. And Sandra says we'll need board of directors, need executive director, need staff, need office space, need systems. And I say I'll be on board, will be founding member, but I don't want to be executive director. Want someone with nonprofit experience. Want someone who understands operations, because I understand myself, understand my strengths, understand that I'm engineer, not administrator. I'm strategist, not manager. And knowing that, acknowledging that, that's growth, that's wisdom. That's me finally understanding my limitations without shame, without guilt, without feeling like I should be able to do everything. And Sandra says, I know woman named Dr. Patricia Okonkwo. She ran women's shelter for 10 years, has nonprofit experience, has passion for this work. Let me connect you. And she does, and 2 weeks later I'm meeting Patricia, and Patricia is a Nigerian-American woman in her late 40s with energy that fills room, with vision that matches mine, with experience that complements my resources, and we talk for 3 hours. Talk about mission, about strategy, about women we want to help. And Patricia says, I've seen this. I've seen women trapped by family obligation, seen them give money until they have nothing, seen them sacrifice careers, relationships, futures. Because family said they should, because guilt said they must, because culture said it's their duty, and breaking that, helping women see that duty has limits. That obligation can be toxic. That family can be abusive. That's mission I believe in. That's work I want to do. And I say, will you be our executive director? Will you build this with me? And she says, yes, absolutely yes. And we shake hands, and enough foundation becomes real, becomes entity, becomes organization that will help women. And helping women, that transforms everything, transforms my retirement from ending to beginning, transforms my pain into purpose, transforms my story into a tool that can help others. And that transformation, that's healing, that's meaning, that's exactly what I needed. And over next 6 months we build it, we incorporate, we establish board of directors, we rent office space in downtown DC. Small space, but professional space. We hire staff, 2 full-time counselors, 1 part-time lawyer, 1 administrator, and we create website, we develop materials, we reach out to women's organizations, to therapists, to lawyers, to anyone who might encounter women in our target demographic, women being financially abused by family. And target demographic, that's bigger than I expected, is thousands of women, maybe tens of thousands, because financial abuse by family, it's common, it's normalized, it's accepted as cultural obligation, as family loyalty, as what good daughters do, and challenging that. Naming it as abuse, providing resources to resist it, that's revolutionary, that's threatening, that's exactly what we should be doing. And we launch in June, exactly 9 months after my retirement, 9 months after that confrontation in my parents' living room. And launch is small ceremony, just board members and staff and few reporters from local papers. And I speak, I tell my story, not all of it, sanitized version, professional version, but core of it, the pressure, the lawsuit, the choice between family and financial security, and how I chose security, how I protected myself, how I won. And I say, if you're a woman being pressured to give money you can't afford, being guilt into sacrificing your future for family members who won't sacrifice for you, you're not alone, you're not selfish, you're not wrong, you're being abused, financially abused, emotionally abused, and abuse by family is still abuse. Obligation that demands your destruction is toxic, not loving, and you have right to say no, you have right to protect yourself, you have right to keep what's yours. And we're here to help you do that, to support you, to provide resources, to tell you what I wish someone had told me 30 years ago. You're enough, your needs matter, you deserve to keep what you earn. And the reporters write stories, and stories get picked up, and suddenly we're getting calls, we're getting emails, we're getting women reaching out saying, I thought I was only one, I thought I was selfish. I thought something was wrong with me. And hearing that, understanding how many women are experiencing this, how normalized this abuse is, how pervasive this guilt is, that's galvanizing, that's motivating, that's proof that this work matters and mattering, having purpose, having mission, that fills hole that family left, that creates meaning that career never provided, that makes retirement about building rather than ending, and building enough foundation, watching it grow, watching it help women. That's satisfaction beyond anything I experienced in 30 years at Patterson Technologies, because this is personal, this is meaningful, this is legacy that matters. And legacy, real legacy, isn't money, isn't success, isn't career achievements, is impact, is how many lives you touch, how many people you help, how much better you make world. And making world better for women trapped by family obligation. That's impact I can measure, can see, can feel, and feeling it, that's everything. 4 months after launch, for months of steady growth, steady clients, steady impact, I get phone call, and caller ID shows name I haven't seen since courthouse, shows Rachel Thompson, and my first instinct is don't answer, is block number, is maintain boundary, but curiosity wins, or maybe it's hope, foolish hope that she's calling to apologize, to acknowledge, to make amends. And I answer, and Rachel's voice is small, is different, is not performance voice, not manipulation voice, but something else, something that might be genuine. And she says, Jennifer, please don't hang up, I need to talk to you. And I say, you have 2 minutes. And she says, I'm divorcing Tom, I'm leaving him, and I need help, legal help, financial help. And I laugh, actually laugh, can't help it. And I say, you're calling me for help, you sued me, you lied about me, you tried to take my retirement, and now you want help. And Rachel says, I know. And I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I was wrong, Mom and Dad were wrong. Tom was wrong. Everyone was wrong. And I see that now. I see it clearly, and I need help, and you're only person I can ask. And I say, what happened to your rental properties, your savings, your income? And there's silence, long silence. And Rachel says, Tom took it. He took everything. He had access to accounts. He liquidated properties. He left me with nothing. And I was so focused on getting money from you that I didn't see he was stealing from me. And now he's gone, and I have kids, and I have nothing, and I don't know what to do. And part of me, small vindictive part, wants to say, good, you deserve it, you get to experience what you try to do to me. But larger part, the part that's been building foundation, that's been helping women, that part recognizes what this is. This is woman who's been financially abused, who's been trapped, who needs help. And I say, Rachel, I'm not giving you money, I'm not bailing you out, I'm not doing what you expected me to do, but I will give you information. I run foundation now. Enough foundation. We help women who've been financially abused by family, and what Tom did to you, that's abuse, that's theft, that's exactly what we help with. And I'm going to give you our number, you're going to call, you're going to work with our staff, and if your case qualifies, if you actually need help, we'll help you, but you'll be treated like any other client. You'll have to document everything, you'll have to follow process, you'll have to do work. And Rachel says, you'd help me after everything, and I say, I'm not helping you, Rachel. My foundation is helping client who needs assistance, and if that client happens to be my sister, then that's coincidence. But understand this. I'm not doing this because we're family, I'm doing this because it's right, because abuse is abuse regardless of who experiences it, and I won't be personally involved. You'll work with our staff. And Rachel says, thank you. Thank you so much. And I say, don't thank me. Thank Dr. Okonkwo and her team, they're the ones who'll actually help you. And I hang up and I sit there processing, trying to understand what just happened, trying to figure out if I made right choice, if helping Rachel through foundation is appropriate, or if it's falling back into old patterns. And I call Patricia, explain situation, and Patricia listens, and she says, Jennifer, this is why we do this work. This is exactly the situation we exist for. Woman who's been financially abused by partner, who has children, who has nothing. That's our mission. And yes, she's your sister. Yes, there's history. Yes, it's complicated. But if we turn her away because of your relationship, we're not living our values. We're not providing help to everyone who needs it. And I say, but what if this is manipulation? What if she's lying again? And Patricia says, then our screening process will reveal that. Our documentation requirements will expose that. Our systems are designed to verify need, to prevent fraud. And if she's a legitimate client, she'll qualify. And if she's not, she won't. And that determination won't be made by you. will be made by staff who don't have emotional investment. And I say you're right, you're absolutely right. And Rachel calls foundation next day, and she goes through intake process, and staff verifies her story, verifies that Tom did liquidate assets, did take money, did leave her with debt and responsibility, and she qualifies for services, gets legal consultation, gets financial counseling, gets support. And I'm not involved, don't attend sessions, don't see reports. Just know that she's client. That foundation is helping her. And helping her, that's complicated, is satisfying and painful simultaneously, is proof that I've grown beyond petty revenge, beyond holding grudges, beyond letting past determine present and determining present, making choices based on values rather than emotions, based on principles rather than history. That's maturity, that's wisdom, that's person I've become, and becoming her, that Jennifer, who can help sister who hurt her because it's right thing to do, that's victory bigger than courthouse, bigger than lawsuit, bigger than protecting retirement, because it's moral victory, is ethical victory, is proof that I'm better person than I was. That pain taught me something, that suffering created compassion, and compassion, real compassion, extends even to people who hurt you, even to family who betrayed you, even to sister who sued you, and extending it, offering it, providing it through structure that maintains boundaries. That's possible, that's healthy. That's exactly what healing looks like. And healing, real healing, isn't about forgetting, isn't about pretending hurt didn't happen, is about learning, is about growing, is about becoming person who can hold pain and compassion simultaneously, who can protect herself while helping others, who can maintain boundaries while offering grace. And that both end, that complexity, that nuance. That's what maturity looks like, what wisdom feels like, what growth achieves, and achieving it, living it, being it. That's satisfaction beyond anything career provided, anything money bought, anything family could have given me, because it's internal, is self-generated, is product of choices I made, values I upheld, person I decided to become, and that deciding, that choosing, that creating myself rather than accepting what others made me, that's power, that's freedom, that's everything. 6 months after Rachel becomes client, 6 months of her working with foundation, 6 months of her rebuilding, she sends me letter, actual handwritten letter, and I almost don't open it, almost throw it away, but curiosity wins, and I read it. And it says, Jennifer, I don't expect forgiveness, don't expect relationship, don't expect anything except to say this. You were right about everything, about Tom using me, about mom and dad enabling me, about me never learning to be responsible, about me thinking I deserved your money. You were right, and I was wrong, and I'm sorry, truly sorry, and I know sorry doesn't fix anything, doesn't undo damage, doesn't restore what we had, but I want you to know that foundation you built, it saved me not just financially, but mentally, emotionally. It showed me patterns I'd been repeating my whole life, showed me how I'd been victim and perpetrator simultaneously, showed me that I needed to change, and I'm changing, I'm working, I'm being responsible. I'm teaching my daughters different lessons than ones we learned, and that teaching, that breaking cycle, that's because of you, because of work you're doing, because of foundation you built. And even if you never speak to me again, even if we never have relationship, I want you to know that what you're doing matters, that you saved me, and I'm grateful. And letter ends there, no request for response, no expectation of reconciliation, just acknowledgement, just gratitude, just recognition. And reading it, I feel something, not forgiveness exactly, not reconciliation, but something else, something like peace, like understanding that people can change, that growth is possible, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is help someone who hurt you not because they deserve it, but because everyone deserves chance to change. And giving that chance, creating space for it, providing resources for it, that's grace, that's compassion, that's love in its most mature form. And experiencing it, offering it, being person who can hold complexity, who can maintain boundaries while offering help, who can protect herself while extending grace. That's who I've become. That's Jennifer at 56, and she's different from Jennifer at 55, who is different from Jennifer at 30, who is different from Jennifer at 20, and that difference, that evolution, that growth, it's beautiful, is hard-won, is proof that life isn't about staying same, is about becoming, about transforming, about learning who you are by discovering who you're not, and discovering who I'm not. That was painful, was necessary, was exactly what I needed to figure out who I am. And who I am is a woman who builds foundations, who helps others, who transforms pain into purpose, who protects herself while offering grace, who maintains boundaries while extending compassion. And that both end, that complexity, that's not contradiction, is integration, is wholeness, is what happens when You survive betrayal, process pain, choose growth, build meaning, and become person you were always meant to be if only circumstances had been different, except circumstances weren't different, were exactly what they were, and responding to them, surviving them, growing from them, that created this person, this Jennifer, and this Jennifer. She's enough, she's whole, she's exactly who she should be. 2 years after Foundation launch, 2 years after that confrontation in my parents' living room that changed everything, I'm standing at podium at National Conference on Family Financial Abuse in Chicago, and there are 300 people in audience, therapists and lawyers and social workers and survivors, and I'm giving keynote speech. I'm telling my story, the full story, not sanitized version, not professional version, but truth, the real messy, complicated truth about what happened when I came home with $3.2 million and my mother said give it to Rachel, and I'm telling them about lawsuit, about evidence, about courthouse victory, but also about cost, about losing family, about grief that came with winning, about complexity of helping sister who hurt me, about foundation that emerged from pain, and audience is silent, is completely engaged, and when I finish, when I say, and that's why enough foundation exists, because every woman deserves to keep what's hers, deserves to say no without guilt, deserves to understand that family obligation stops where financial abuse begins, the applause is thunderous, is standing ovation, and people are crying, are nodding, are recognizing themselves in my story, and that recognition, that connection, that understanding that my experience resonates, that my pain has meaning, that my survival can help others, that's everything, that's purpose beyond anything career provided. And after speech, during reception, woman approaches me. She's maybe 40, she's nervous, and she says I needed to hear that, I needed to know I wasn't crazy, my parents have been pressuring me to give them money for years, and I thought it was my obligation, thought it was what good daughters do, but hearing you say it's abuse, that changed something, and I say what's your situation, and she tells me about parents who guilt her, about siblings who don't contribute, about her being successful one, responsible one, and therefore ATM, and I say you're not ATM, your person and your success doesn't obligate you to fund their choices, and I give her foundation card, I tell her to call us, and she takes card with shaking hands, and she says thank you, and I watch her walk away, and I think that's exactly why we do this work. That moment right there, that woman understanding she is choice, that's impact, that's change, that's revolution happening one person at a time, and revolution, real revolution. It's not dramatic, not loud, not sudden, it's quiet, it's individual, it's one woman at a time choosing herself, protecting herself, understanding herself, and understanding. That's what transforms everything, what creates change, what builds movement, and enough foundation, it's part of movement, is contributing to shift in how we think about family obligation, about financial abuse, about what we owe versus what we choose to give. And that shift, that cultural transformation that's happening, is real, is growing, and being part of it, helping create it, watching it expand. That's legacy, that's meaning, that's proof that sometimes worst thing that happens to you becomes best thing you do with your life. And doing it, living it, being it, that's victory. I'm back in Arlington in my townhouse that's now fully mine, not just legally but emotionally, is home and way apartment never was, and I'm sitting in living room with floor-to-ceiling windows showing spring garden that I planted, actually planted with my own hands, flowers and vegetables and herbs, and I'm drinking coffee and reading foundation reports, and we've helped 217 women in 2 years. 217 women who were being financially abused by family, who were being guilt, pressured, manipulated, and we've provided legal assistance, financial counseling, emotional support, and follow-up shows that 83% maintained boundaries, 83% protected their finances, 83% are thriving, and that 83%, that's validation, that's proof that intervention works, that support matters, that women given resources can protect themselves. And protecting themselves, that's not selfish, that's survival, that's exactly what they should be doing, and I'm proud, genuinely proud of what we've built, of impact we're having, of women we're helping, and pride, healthy pride, appropriate pride, that's new for me, is something I'm learning to feel without guilt, without shame, without thinking it means I'm arrogant, and it's not arrogant to acknowledge success, to recognize impact, to feel satisfaction in work well done. That's healthy, that's appropriate. That's exactly what I should feel, and feeling it, allowing it, celebrating it, that's growth, and my phone rings and it's Patricia and she says, Jennifer, I need to tell you something wonderful. We just got call from major donor, someone who heard your keynote in Chicago, and they want to donate $1 million to expand our services, and I almost drop coffee and I say 1 million. Who? And Patricia says anonymous donor. They want to remain private, but they were moved by your story, by our mission, by our impact, and they want to help us reach more women. And I'm crying, actually crying, because $1 million, that means we can open second location, can hire more staff, can help hundreds more women, and helping them, that's compounding impact, is exponential growth, is proof that vulnerability, real vulnerability, sharing your story, admitting your pain, that creates connection, inspires action, changes lives. And my story, my painful, complicated, messy story, it's doing that, it's creating change. And creating change, that's immortality, that's legacy, that's how you live forever, not through children or career achievements, but through impact, through lives you touch, through people you help, and helping them, that's everything. And Patricia says we're thinking about calling second location Hope House. What do you think? And I say Hope House is perfect, is exactly right, because that's what we provide. Hope, real, tangible, practical hope. Hope that you can say no, hope that you can protect yourself. Hope that choosing yourself doesn't make you selfish, and that hope, that's revolutionary. And I say let's do it, let's build it, let's help more women. And we do, we plan it, we execute it, and 6 months later Hope House opens in Philadelphia, and we're helping women there, expanding impact, growing movement, and movement, real movement. That's what this is becoming, is cultural shift in understanding of family obligation, and shifting it, that's work of generations, but we're starting it, we're building it, we're proving it's possible, and possible, that's everything. I'm having dinner with Patricia and our board members, celebrating Hope House opening, and someone asks, so Jennifer, what's next? What's your vision? And I think about it, really think about it. And I say I want to write book, want to tell full story, want to reach women who'll never attend conference, never call foundation, but who need to hear this, need to understand that family financial abuse is real, is common, is something they can resist, and board agrees, encourages it. And I hire ghostwriter woman named Maria Santos who specializes in memoirs, and over next 6 months we work together. We write my story, complete story, everything from childhood to retirement to lawsuit to foundation, and writing it, revisiting it, examining it with distance, with perspective, with understanding of how it shaped me. That's therapeutic, that's healing, that's closure. And closure, real closure, isn't about reconciliation, isn't about forgiveness, is about integration, about taking experience and making it part of you rather than letting it define you, and integrating it. That's what writing does, what storytelling achieves, what sharing creates and book publishes, and it's called Enough. Simple title, powerful title. Title that summarizes everything I learned, and booked as well, not bestseller, but steady. Seller finds audience, reaches women, and I get emails, dozens of emails, from women saying I thought I was only one, from daughters saying my parents do this too, from sisters saying I'm the responsible one, and I'm tired. And reading those emails, understanding how many women experience this, how normalized this abuse is, that's both devastating and motivating, is proof that work matters, that story matters, that vulnerability creates connection, and connection, that's what transforms. Isolation into community, shame into strength, silence into voice, and giving voice, that's power, that's revolution, that's exactly what needs to happen, and it's happening, is real, is growing, and I'm part of it, and being part of it, contributing to it, watching it expand. That satisfaction beyond anything money can buy, beyond anything success can provide, beyond anything except meaning, real meaning, deep meaning, the kind of meaning that makes life worth living. And my life at 57 is worth living, is full, is rich, not just with money but with purpose, with impact, with relationships that matter, with work that means something, and mattering, that's everything. That's what I was searching for in 30 years at Patterson Technologies, what I thought success would provide. Except success provided money, provided security, provided comfort, but not meaning, not purpose, not understanding of why I was here, what I was meant to do, who I was meant to be, and finding that, discovering that, becoming that required losing family, required fighting lawsuit, required building foundation, required transforming pain into purpose. And that transformation, that's not something you plan, not something you choose, is something that happens when you survive betrayal, when you protect yourself, when you refuse to be destroyed, and refusing to be destroyed, that's first step, that's foundation, that's what everything else builds on. And I refused, I fought, I won. And winning, that created space, created opportunity, created possibility for building something meaningful. And meaningful, that's what enough foundation is, what Hope House is, what book is, what my life has become, is meaningful, purposeful, full of impact that extends beyond me, beyond my comfort, beyond my security, and extending beyond. That's how you create legacy. That's how you matter. That's how you ensure that your life meant something, changed something, helped something, and helping, that's what I do now. That's who I am. That's Jennifer at 57, and she's different from Jennifer at 55, who walked into parents' living room with retirement check, who thought success would finally make her enough, who believed achievement would earn her love. And that Jennifer, she had to die, had to be destroyed, had to learn painful lesson that love isn't earned, worth isn't achieved, enough is internal, not external. And learning that, understanding that, becoming that required losing everything, required starting over, required choosing myself for first time. And choosing myself, that wasn't selfish, was necessary, was survival, was exactly what I should have done. And doing it, living it, being it, that's created this life, this meaningful, purposeful, impactful life. And this life, it's mine, it's authentic, it's exactly what I want. And wanting it, claiming it, living it, that's victory, that's peace, that's happiness, and happiness real. Happiness isn't about having everything, it's about having enough. And I have enough, more than enough, have home I love, have work that matters, have purpose that fulfills, have impact that extends, have life that's worth living, and living it, really living it, that's everything. That's what matters. That's what I fought for, what I won, what I'm doing. And if you're watching this, if you followed this story, if you recognize yourself in it, if you're a woman being pressured by family, being guilt by parents, being expected to sacrifice your security for someone else's comfort, I want you to know this: you're enough, your needs matter, you deserve to keep what's yours, and saying no, protecting yourself, choosing your future, that's not selfish, that's survival. That's exactly what you should do, and doing it, that's hard, that's painful, that's complicated, but necessary, absolutely necessary. Because life is short, time is limited, opportunity doesn't wait, and spending your one precious life funding someone else's choices, sacrificing your dreams for someone else's comfort, destroying your security for someone else's entitlement, that's not love, that's not family, that's abuse. And abuse, even by family, especially by family, that's not acceptable, not forgivable, not something you have to tolerate. And tolerating it, accepting it, enabling it, that destroys you, destroys your future, destroys your chance at life that's actually yours. And your life, it should be yours, should reflect your choices, should prioritize your needs, should create your happiness. And creating that, building that, protecting that, that's not cruelty, that's wisdom, that's survival. That's exactly what you should do. And if you need help doing it, if you need support, if you need resources, enough foundation exists, Hope House exists. We're here, we're ready, we understand, and understanding, that's what you need. That's what you deserve. That's what we provide, and providing it, helping you, watching you transform from victim to survivor, from guilt to strength, from obligation to freedom. That's our purpose. That's our mission. That's why I built this, from my pain, and building from pain. That's possible. That's powerful. That's exactly what transforms suffering into meaning. And meaning, that's everything. That's what makes life worth living. What makes survival worth fighting for. What makes this story worth sharing. And sharing it, telling it, living it, that's my legacy. That's my impact. That's my gift to women who come after me, who face what I faced, who need to know what I know, that you can survive betrayal. You can protect yourself. You can build meaningful life from ashes of destroyed family. And building it, that's not revenge. That's not cruelty. That's rebirth. That's transformation. That's exactly what happens when you choose yourself, when you protect what's yours, when you refuse to be destroyed. And refusing, that's power. That's freedom, that's victory. And victory looks like this, looks like me, looks like woman who lost family but found herself, who sacrificed relationship but gained authenticity, who walked away from toxicity but walked toward purpose. And that walking toward, that's journey, that's story, that's life well lived. And living it, really living it, that's everything.